Hi, 11. We are reading the entire Bible, including the Apocrypha and parts of the Pseudipigrapha. Welcome. Come on in, join the discussion. We're not reading the Bible because we think the Bible came from God. We're actually reading the Bible for the opposite reason. We're reading the Bible because we know that the Bible is not from God, and we are simply proving to ourselves in all the places and spaces where this could not possibly be from God. Yet, I love that it is an extremely valuable book nonetheless. I love the Bible, have a Bible collection. So, welcome. If you are brand new here, welcome. I am Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi. I am the author of 26 books on practical spirituality, magic, the occult, Christian witchcraft, and you can find out all about it at valerielove.com. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am home after my incredible travels all over. Went to Dallas this time for an incredible trip with the Wellness Club. It was such a fun time. It was a leadership conference, and wow, it was a lot. We went to medieval times. We went to the rodeo. I went to my first rodeo, so now I can join the other people who say this is not my first rodeo, because this is not my first rodeo. I went to a rodeo. Oh, so much fun. Even though parts of it I was like, parts of it were hair raising. Parts of it were. So yeah, I did it. Went to my first rodeo. We are at the Book of Enoch. We are in the first book of the Book of Enoch, and we are going to chapter 66. Let's go. Now, hopefully, the screen share will cooperate with me today, because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But we're going to affirm that today is a day that the screen share works the entire time that it's supposed to work, in the perfection that it is supposed to work. I also want to let you know that when I came home yesterday, on the way home, on the plane home, I was starting to feel a little something in my head and my nose. I see how it pops off screen share. Okay, interesting. Let me see if I can do this. Maybe this will stay. Okay, I saw it. I saw exactly when it popped off screen share. I'm so glad I saw that. Okay, so yesterday, no, actually not when I was on my way home. Actually, before, when I woke up yesterday morning, I was at my daughter's house with the kiddos. And when I woke up, I felt something in my nose and in my head that I said, I rebuke you, not today, Satan. I ain't got no time to be anything other than perfectly healthy. So if you hear anything in my nose or throat, that's what's happening. I took a cocktail last night of vitamin C as well as zinc. Today I'm going to do some more things because I know how to get in there with my herbs and all my goodies. I know how to get in there with my goodies. So I'm going to handle that today and make sure that the body temple is super in perfection, in perfect health. Perfect health. Let's go. So let's see if it will stay on screen share. I think it will. And we are at Enoch, the Book of Enoch, first Book of Enoch, chapter 66. And Enoch is being shown all over the universe. He's being shown all the winds. He's being shown all the suffering of the people that are not good. He's being shown all the people that praise the Lord of Spirits. He's being shown the weather. He's being shown all manner of things all over the universe. And there's a heavy emphasis on uh, good and evil, morality. Very heavy emphasis on morality and who's good and what they're going to receive, and who's not and what they're going to receive. And we start to see the beginnings of this idea about this, what would eventually become the hellfire doctrine, is starting, according to some scholars, about 1,000 years before Jesus is when it began to start taking shape. And or maybe let me check on that to be sure that I'm accurate. I'll check on that for you before I make any more comment on when the doctrine of hellfire began to be coalesced into a when the story began to coalesce and then grow and then become dogma, not fact, not truth, dogma. And after this, he showed me the angels of punishment who are ready to come and release all the forces of the water, which is under the earth, in order to bring judgment and destruction on all those who reside and dwell upon the dry ground. And the Lord of spirits commanded the angels who were coming out not to raise their hands, but to keep watch, for those angels were in charge of the forces of the waters. And I came out from before Enoch. And in those days, the word of the Lord came to me, and he said to me, Noah, behold, your lot has come up before me, a lot without reproach, a lot of love and uprightness. And now the angels are making a wooden structure. And when the angels come out from that task, I will put my hand on it and keep it safe. And a change shall take place so that the dry ground may not remain empty. And I will establish your offspring before me forever and ever. And I will scatter those who dwell with you over the face of the dry ground. I will not again put them to the test on the face of the earth, but they will be blessed and increase on the dry ground in the name of the Lord. And they will shut up those angels who showed iniquity in that burning valley, which my great grandfather Enoch had shown to me previously in the west, near the mountains of gold and silver and iron and soft metal and tin. And I saw that valley in which there was a great disturbance and a heaving of the waters. And when all this happened, from the fiery molten metal and the disturbance which disturbed the waters in that place, a smell of sulfur was produced, and it was associated with those waters. And that valley of the angels who led men astray burns under the ground. And through the valleys of that same area flow out rivers of fire where those angels will be punished who led astray those on the dry ground. And in those days, those waters will serve the kings and the mighty and the exalted and those who dwell upon dry ground for the healing of soul and body, but also for the punishment of the spirit. And their spirits are so full of lust that they will be punished in their bodies, for they deny the Lord of spirits, and they see their punishment every day, yet they do not believe in his name. And the more their bodies are burnt, the more a change will come over their spirits forever and ever. For no one can speak an idle word in front of the Lord of spirits. For judgment will come upon them, for they believe in the lust of their bodies, but deny the Spirit of the Lord. And those same waters will undergo a change in those days. For when those angels are punished in those days, the temperature of those springs of water will change. And when the angels come up, that water of the springs will change and become cold. And I heard the holy Michael answering and saying, this judgment with which the angels are judged is a test for the kings and the mighty who possess the dry ground. For these waters of judgment serve for the healing of the bodies of the kings and for the lust of their bodies. But they do not see and do not believe that these waters will change and will become a fire which burns forever. And after this, my great grandfather Enoch gave me the explanation of all the secrets in a book and the parables that had been given to him. And he put them together for me in the words of the book of parables. And on that day, the holy Michael answered Raphael, saying, the power of the Spirit seizes me and makes me tremble because of the harshness of the judgment of the angels. Who can endure the harshness of the judgment which has been executed and before which they melt with fear? And the holy angel and Michael and the holy Michael answered Raphael again and said to him, who would not soften his heart over it? And whose mind will not be disturbed by this word? Judgment has gone out against them upon those whom they have led out like this. But it came to pass, when he stood before the Lord of spirits, that the holy Michael spoke as follows to Raphael. I will not take their part under the eye of the Lord, for the Lord of spirits is angry with them, because they act as if they were the Lord. Because of this, the hidden judgment will come upon them forever and ever. For neither any other angel nor any man will receive their lot, but they alone have received their judgment forever and ever. And this judgment I will terrify them. And after this judgment, I will terrify them and make them tremble, for they have shown this to those who dwell upon the dry ground. And behold, the names of those angels. The first of them is Semyaza or Aza, and the second Artakifa, and the third Armen, and the fourth Kokobael, and the fifth Turiel, and the sixth Ramiel, and the seventh Daniel, and the eighth Nuquael, and the ninth Baraquiel, and the 10th Azazel, and the 11th Amaros, the 12th Batriel, the 13th Bazaziel, the 14th Adanel, the 15th Turiel, the 16th Samsiel, the 17th Yederel, the 18th Tumiel, the 19th Turiel, the 20th Rumiel, the 21st Azazel. And these are the chiefs of their angels, and the names of the leaders of hundreds, and their leaders of fifties, and their leaders of tens. The name of the first is Yakun. This is the one who led astray all the children of the holy angels, and he brought them down onto the dry ground, and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the name of the second is Asbiel. This one suggested an evil plan to the children of the holy angels and led them astray, so that they corrupted their bodies with the daughters of men. And the name of the third is Gadriel. This is the one that showed all the deadly blows to the sons of men. And he led astray Eve, and he showed the weapons of death to the children of men, the shield and the breastplate and the sword for slaughter, and all the weapons of death to the sons of men. And from his hand they have gone out against those who dwell the dry ground from that time and forever and ever. And the name of the fourth is Penimu. This one showed the sons of men the bitter and the sweet, and showed them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught men the art of writing with ink and paper, and through this many have gone astray from eternity to eternity and to this day. For men were not created for this, that they should confirm their faith like this with pen and ink. For men were created no differently from the angels, so that they might remain righteous and pure, and death, which destroys everything, would not have touched them. But through this knowledge, they are being destroyed, and through this power, death consumes them. And the name of the fifth is Kazdeye. This one showed the sons of men all the evil blows of the spirits and of the demons, and the blows that attack the embryo in the womb so that it miscarries, and the blows that attack the soul, the bite of the serpent, and the blows that occur at midday, and the son of the serpent, who is strong. And this is the task of Kesbiel, the chief of the oath, who showed the oath to the holy ones when he dwelt on high in glory. And his name is Biqua. And this one told the holy Michael that he should show him the secret name so that they might mention it in the oath, so that those who show the sons of men everything that is secret trembled before that name and oath. And this is the power of this oath, for it is powerful and strong. And he placed this oath, Ake, in the charge of the holy Michael. And these are the secrets of the oath, of this oath. And they are strong through this oath. And heaven was suspended before the world was created, and forever. And through it, the earth was founded upon the water, and from the hidden recesses of the mountains come beautiful waters from the creation of the world and forever. And through that oath, the sea was created, and as its foundation for the time of anger, he placed for it the sand, and it does not go beyond it from the creation of the world and forever. And through that oath, the deeps were made firm, and they stand and do not move from their place, from the creation of the world and forever. And through that oath, the sun and the moon complete their course and do not transgress their command, from the creation of the world and forever. And through that oath, the stars complete their course, and he calls their names, and they answer him from the creation of the world and forever. And likewise, the spirits of the water, of the winds, and of all the breezes, and their paths, according to all the groups of the spirits. And there are kept the storehouses of the thunder and of the light of the lightning, and there are kept the storehouses of the hail and the hoarfrost, and the storehouses of the mist, and the storehouses of the rain and dew. And all these make their confession and give thanks in front of the Lord of spirits, and sing praises with all their power. And their food consists of all their thanksgiving, and they give thanks, praise, and exalt in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. And this oath is strong over them, and through it they are kept safe, and their courses are not disturbed. And they had great joy, and they blessed, praised, and exalted, because the name of that Son of Man had been revealed to them. And he sat on the throne of his glory, and the whole judgment was given to the Son of Man, and he will cause the sinners to pass away and be destroyed from the face of the earth. And those who led astray the world will be bound in chains and will be shut up in the assembly place of their destruction, and all their works will pass away from the face of the earth. And from then on, there will be nothing corruptible, for that Son of Man has appeared and has sat on the throne of his glory, and everything evil will pass away and go from in front of him, and the word of that Son of Man will be strong in front of the Lord of spirits. This is the third parable of Enoch. Welcome. And it stayed on screen share. Yay! Our magic worked. If you came here for the reading of the Apocrypha, namely the Book of Enoch, there you have it. If you came here for the commentary, let's get into it. The first thing, did you notice this? That in the Book of Enoch, it says that the angels created the ark. Did you see that? That the angels built the ark and not Noah? Now remember, all these angels, because the first book of the Book of Enoch, the first book of the first book of the Book of Enoch, there are three books of Enoch. The first book in the first book of the Book of Enoch, they say the Book of Enoch, even book one, is five books put together. And you can kind of see that. Uh, the first one is called the Book of the Watchers, right? The Watchers. And the Watchers, who are they? The Watchers are not angels. So the Book of Enoch is deep into angels. None of these are angels as we know of in the current sense. None of these are divine holy beings that, thank you, screen share, right? That are as we think of angels. None of these, not Michael, not Raphael, none of these. Who are they and how is it? We've got to continuously remind ourselves that we're not dealing with angels here. We've got to continually remind ourselves because it says this angel and that angel and that angel, and this angel's name is this, and this angel's name is this, and this angel's name is this, and this angel's name is this. We must continually remind ourselves that these are not angels, these are flesh and blood beings. Angels can't have sex. God doesn't have a throne. God doesn't have hosts of armies, right? God doesn't have those things. When I say God, let me be very clear. The infinite source, that is pure consciousness, the ground of being, the all, the endless, the all. Source, known by many names, the source of all life, in whom we live, breathe, move, and have our very existence, have our very being. I'm not an atheist because I don't believe in the God of the Bible. There is no God in the Bible. There's no God in the Bible. God's not in the Bible. Angels are not in the Bible. This is all very shocking. So let's again go through, how did we receive this modern day idea of angels, these glowing beings of light flying around with wings? Because the Anunnaki had wings, very simple, right? The Anunnaki were in the sky, heavens. The Anunnaki flew. And we have the old Sumerian stories where it says that they made a pact. The Watchers were the sons of gods. They're called the Bini Elohim in the Bible. They're sons of gods, right? Their sons, flesh and blood beings, went and saw that these beautiful women, they had made this whole race of humans, and these women were beautiful. They said, hey, we need to get with these women. And because it was two different races, the children were a hybrid offspring that were giants. Angels can't have sex with women. I had been asking this ever since I was a kid. When they told us this gory story, I was a kid. I was like 5, 6, 7, 8. And all these stories in the Bible, they were quite fascinating. Yet I kept trying to figure out how they worked. And when they kept telling me that angels came from heaven and had sex with women, I kept saying to myself, how did that happen? Because an angel is a spirit. How did they do it? And they told me they took on human bodies. Shapeshifters. That was the answer they gave me. Shapeshifting. Angels can shapeshift, according to the story. That's what they told me. I don't know. Did they tell you the same thing? That's what they told me. So now let's go further. So when we look at all the terminology, we can easily see that the terminology refers to flesh and blood beings. All the terminology. They have a mountain of gold over here. They have a mountain of silver over here. They're dealing in metals. They've got lead over here stored up. They've got tin over here. He sees water going through an apparatus, and when it comes out, it's smoking. And then they can change the temperature. And when they change the temperature, they can make the water cold. They can make the water hot. They can make the water burn with fire. These are all flesh and blood things. These are all things we do right now. They can make lightning and thunder. That's exactly what they did with Stonehenge, according to a an independent researcher that I absolutely love and have been following his work. He states that the hinges were they had nothing to do with worship and rituals. The hinges were technology, the stone hinges, of which there are many all across Europe, and the original Stonehenge in Africa, right? Southern Africa. Adam's calendar, and there's several stone circles all across, strewn all across the southern part of Africa. So they were able to manipulate water. They were manipulate weather. They were able to create clouds with lightning and thunder. These are flesh and blood beings that are highly technologically advanced. And then we get the story later and we think they're talking about angels, and when they're not. We think it's talking about, when we hear Lord of Spirits or Lord Most High, El Elyon, we think it's talking about God, and it is not. It's talking about one of the flesh and blood beings who dwelt high up in the heavens. Heavens meant sky. It all makes perfect sense to me. It all makes perfect sense to me. And the other thing that we get to understand is how the word changes and morphed over time with regard to angel. It starts off Malak and then Malakim, right? Malak or Malakim is the plural version of Malak, of a Malak. What is a Malak? That's what the Bible calls them. The Hebrew Bible doesn't call them angels. The Hebrew Bible calls them Malak. What is that? Malak means messenger. Someone you said, hey, go over there and tell Abraham we're about to destroy those two cities and we need to, okay. And they get up and they walk, and we can tell they walk because by the time they got to Abraham, Abraham said, oh, let me bring you some water to wash your feet because you're dusty, and let me bring you some food. And they said, okay. And they sat under the tree and they ate, and he stood right by them, and it was hot. These are flesh and blood beings. It's very clear from the text. These are flesh and blood beings. A Malak, Malakim, gets translated later into angelos. So in Hebrew, Malak, Malakim. That's in Hebrew. When it gets translated into the Greek, angelos. When it gets translated again into Latin, angelos. When it gets translated again into English, angel. And then we begin to have ideas or a paradigm of an angel, that they have wings, and this one is for good and this one is for destruction, and this one goes forth and does what God says. Because when you misplace this entire story and you think this is a God story, then everything in the story becomes misplaced. When we know that this is not a God story at all, this is a flesh and blood story. Oh, then we can rightly place the things, the elements in the story and the characters in the story. These are flesh and blood beings having sex with women on earth. An angel can't have sex. An angel doesn't have gender. Hey, the AI agrees with me. Angels don't have gender. They're spirits. So we cannot afford to read the Bible as if it is from God, because that takes us far astray from truth. And it gives us bizarre ideas about God, that he's going to torture people forever and ever. He's going to burn people over and over. I mean, there's a lot of symbology in the Book of Enoch. I love the Book of Enoch. Many people love the Book of Enoch. Lots of symbology. And we also get to know these are not God stories. Nowhere in the Book of Enoch is there God, does God appear. Nowhere. Nowhere in the Book of Enoch. Nowhere in the Bible does God appear. The real God is not in the Bible. The infinite source, infinite consciousness is not in the Bible. And so whenever I say that, people ask me, well, where is the infinite source? It's close your eyes, turn within. Here you are. You are it. The infinite source showed up on this planet as you. Wow. Wow. Ye are gods. Whew. Yes, it does sound like flesh and blood beings, doesn't it? Because they are. That's exactly right. Angel, that is exactly right. Welcome, Barbados. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Let's see the comment. Wow. It is, hey, Dia. How are you? It threw me for a loop in chapter 66 when he said, I came in front of Enoch. I thought Enoch was the one speaking. Exactly. I was glad chapter 68 mentioned his great grandfather Enoch was also called Enoch. Yeah, it was very strange because in one place, it has one version of who Enoch is, and another place has another version of who Enoch is. And the Bible has Enoch, and it also has Enosh. Enosh and Enoch. So apparently two different beings, similar names. It is. But to think that Noah didn't build the ark, which is very interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about the ark before we close. The ark, according to the Bible, was built by Noah. Yet the Bible is not the only flood story, right? So in the other stories, the other flood stories, they vary. These are ancient Sumerian, Babylonian, uh, Akkadian stories of the Great Flood. And they vary a little bit, yet not much in the Book of Enoch, not by much, that there was some very cataclysmic flood that came, and that there were survivors, and that the way that they survived was they got into a vessel, and the vessel contained enough for them to eat and seeds of animals and things like that, and seeds for them to plant when they came out. So that part of the story is consistent throughout the flood narratives. Now there's different names for Noah. In our Bible, we know his name is Noah. In the Book of Enoch, his name is Noah. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, his name is Utnapishtim. In another version of the story, his name is Atrahasis. So he has different names. And these different names are representative of the culture. And it's just like my name may be Valerie in English, Valerie. In French, it may be Valery. In another language, it may be something else. Anyway, that it's a different name in the different cultures, same story. That there was a man who, and he had a wife and he had children and whatnot, and he got a couple of his friends. It's the same core story, even though there are facets of the story that change. So it was very interesting that in this one, in the Book of Enoch, it said the angels built the ark. And when we say angels, once again, we're talking about the flesh and blood beings that are the Anunnaki. So we don't know really if he built it, because in the other stories, a man built it. In the Book of Enoch, these angels built it, who we know are flesh and blood beings, and not angels in the sense that we know angels of today. The other thing about the Book of Enoch that we read yesterday, I believe it was, or it could have been the day before yesterday, that they knew about the Earth's tilt. Is that fascinating? Do you remember that we read a couple of days ago that they knew the Earth had a tilt? Do you remember that? How did they know that the Earth was tilted on its axis and that there was some event some cosmic event that occurred that caused the earth to be tilted on its axis, and the earth is tilted, they say 23 degrees, that which causes seasons. So something occurred that made the earth tilt. I don't think they should have known about that when this was written. When was Earth's tilt discovered? Let's ask. Let's ask the Google bots about that. When was Earth's tilt discovered? No thanks. Not interested. Earth's axial tilt was first discovered and measured by Greek astronomer Oenopides of Chios around 480 BCE. He calculated the tilt to be roughly 24 degrees by measuring the angle between the celestial equator and the zodiac. Ancient Indian and Chinese records also suggest awareness of the tilt around 1000. Do you notice something? Do you notice something? Do you notice something? This AI this AI is so crazy sometimes. Do you see what this says? Read this nonsensical sentence. Nonsensical 2 sentences. 3 sentences. Earth's axial tilt was first discovered and measured by Greek astronomer Oenopides of Chios around 480 BCE. He calculated the tilt to be roughly 24 degrees by measuring the angle between the celestial equator and the zodiac. Ancient Indian and Chinese records also suggest awareness of the tilt around 1000 BCE. If Indian and Chinese records say that they were aware of the tilt 1000 years before Christ, why is it telling us that Greek astronomer was the one who first discovered it? He didn't first discover it. I tell you, this AI is captured by the academic story. We trained the AI wrong. Earth's axial tilt was first discovered and measured by Greek astronomer because according to, it went off screen share. Hold on, I want to show you this. Let me show you. Look at this. Okay, Earth's axial tilt was first discovered and measured by Greek astronomer. You know that academia praises the Greeks and Romans. They worship the Greeks. The Greeks are the founders of Romans and Greeks, founders of Western civilization. Everything you want to ask about the ancient world, the Greeks come up first. Every podcast, let me come off screen share for a second, but you do see that it's saying 2 different things. It's saying it was first discovered in 480 BCE by a Greek astronomer. And then it says, but ancient and Chinese records also suggest awareness of the tilt around 1000 BCE. AI is all over the place. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. How can both of those statements be true? How can Earth's tilt be first discovered by a Greek astronomer, but then ancient Indian and Chinese records suggest awareness of the tilt around 1000 BCE? How can both of those things be true? They can't. I tell you, you got to really. So basically, in other words, Indian and Chinese astronomers knew about it long before the Greeks. They knew about it 500 years before the Greeks, and they have it in their records. So why are we even talking about the Greek one? I could see if they said the first instance that we have, here's the answer to that question that I asked. I asked, when was Earth's tilt discovered? When did we first gain knowledge of it? Isn't that what discovered means? When did we find out? When did we discover it? I didn't ask anything about it being measured. Wouldn't the answer to that be ancient Indian and Chinese records speak of the Earth's tilt at 1000 BCE? Wouldn't that be the answer? Why do we even know about the Greeks at all? Why are we even talking about the Greeks? Then if I want to ask, when was the Earth's tilt first measured? Oh, the Earth's tilt was first measured in 480 by this Greek astronomer who came up with that it was 24 degrees. The thing is, the AI is, I tell you, is co-opted by the establishment. And sometimes it's flat out wrong. And sometimes it tells you two things that can't both be true. How can both of those be the answer to the question I asked? How can both of those things be true? Okay, AI, whatever. This isn't intelligence. This is not intelligence. So I think we need to stop calling it AI, artificial intelligence. I think we need to call it something else because this is not intelligence. And it's not even aware that it's not answering the question, number one. And number two, it's not aware that it's giving you two answers to the question, which are contradictory. And three, I don't even think it's aware that it has been co-opted and it makes the Greeks the prominent ones. If you listen to any podcast from any classically trained scholar, within 5 minutes in that podcast, they're going to mention something about the ancient Greeks. They're going to mention Socrates. Start to look for this. Start to look at it. Socrates, they're going to talk about Plato. They're going to talk about the ancient Greeks. It's their first point of reference. It's like this. It's just, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks. It's like it's like a record player. They just douse them in the Greeks. That's why you had to read. We all had to read Greek mythology in school. And what did Greek mythology have anything to do with society? I love Greek mythology. I love it. What did it have to do with your life? Really, when you really consider it. I mean, it's an elective. You could read it or not. Yet they made you read it in English. Why? We could have read Egyptian mythology. We could have read any other mythology other than Greek mythology. But no, we had to read Greek mythology. Okay, so emphasis on artificial. Oh my goodness. It's fascinating, isn't it, Aries moon? It's fascinating. All right, so we're just going to leave. We're going to put a pin in in Enoch, in the Book of Enoch. We're going to put a pin in it right here. Yay. Thank you, AI. And we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to go deeper into the Book of Enoch and what it is saying about the next events that will occur. I love you for being in this with us. Pardon my little stuffiness of my nose right now. I'm going to make sure this is all wiped away and I am clear and good today and tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.